Hello, my loves. It's Britt, and in this video, I'm going to talk about Saturn in the sign of Capricorn. So, what is Saturn in the natal chart? Saturn is the planet of karma. It represents challenges in our life, it represents an area of life where, by sign and house and aspects, we find it really difficult. We have our greatest challenges, but ultimately, if we go through the pain and actually learn the lessons that we are required to learn as a soul, we actually are very gifted in this area, and we end up having a certain amount of authority, and it ends up being a really strong part of our personality and lives and our charts. So very, very important. And I find that the Saturn placement is so easily relatable because when you start talking about it with someone, they're just going to feel that so deeply. Like, yeah, that's my issue. That's my challenge. That's my pain. And I remember when I read about my Saturn for the first time, it just blew my mind. And mine being in the 12th house in Pisces, it was really hard to put into words, but reading it out, it changed my life. It articulated so much of what I just couldn't understand that was so painful about myself. So now, on to Saturn and Capricorn. Now, this one is one that I have seen a lot, and I have personal experience. My mother has this placement, and also a soulmate boyfriend that I had back from when I was a teenager had this placement, and quite a lot of people that I knew have had this placement. So a lot of this will be from direct experience of observing people with this placement, as well as what I've read in books. So this is actually a really good placement because Saturn rules Capricorn, and so it's definitely strong. So when you do see this in someone's chart, or if you have this in your chart, you're going to want to pay attention to it because it is in its rulership. So we have the karmic planet in its sign of rulership. So it just shows that the Saturnian energies of restriction, of perseverance, and that dedication to hard work, but also really heavy life challenges, this is a big part of that person's personality. So these are very serious people. This is a karmic placement in one of my favorite astrology books. What's it called? By Isabel Hickey, Astrology, the Cosmic Science, I think it's called. She calls this placement the karmic clearinghouse. So meaning that the individuals with this placement have taken on a lot in terms of karma from other lifetimes or karma from the family line to heal and to transmute in this lifetime. So these are definitely people that will experience one or many difficult life challenges that will drastically change the course of their whole life. Sorry about my dogs barking, not sure if you can hear that. So yeah, these people tend to be pretty serious. They tend to be very hardworking, and it's really important for them to have a sense of their own personal, unique mission. And this mission needs to be coming from their own heart and their own sense of service and giftedness and what they really want to do in the world, because it's easy for these people to be really dedicated to something, and they need to be dedicated to something that is really coming from their heart and soul and with a focus on service in order to be truly fulfilled. And the thing with these people too is that there's such a fear of failure and of public humiliation, and they might not be aware of this, but a lot of their actions are based on how they want to appear to others. And this is something that is just such a strongly ingrained part of their personality. How they, their status in society, how they appear to others. Like, these are the people that really are thinking about, how are people seeing me? How am I being perceived? And it's not so much in the personal day-to-day life. It's like, they're more worried about, okay, how am I being perceived by society? Like, how, what kind of person am I in society, right? So this is a big one for them, and it's common for them to be, either overly focused on their public image. Like, as a woman, they might be overly focused on their appearance or on being overly feminine qualities. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone's going to be focused on their work and purpose. They get this idea from their childhood, from the parental figure and the parental role on what a good person is to be, and then they are dedicated to fulfilling that. So for like some women, it might just be like, oh, I just want to be a good wife, and that's their focus. They just put so much pressure on themselves to be the best wife, or whatever it is, or whatever the family that they were brought up in says is good. They dedicate their life to being that person. Or we have this other manifestation where they reject that identity, maybe being shown by placement or aspects of Saturn that show difficulty. We see that the person rejects that totally, and then they like try to find their own way in society. But either way, the person is very focused on how they appear as a whole to society, and it's a different kind of self-consciousness than like Saturn in the first house would be around the physical body and appearance. It's more, yeah, how am I appearing to society? Like there could be with this placement a focus on fame. I've known people who were very focused on getting famous and becoming well known and, you know, wanting to have this like high lifestyle. And I really feel like this Saturn does have a tendency to focus on the outer life, maybe at the expense of the inner emotional life, when maybe it would do them some good to focus a little bit more on their inner self and how they feel on the inside, rather than getting their self-worth from how they're getting the feedback on the outside, or, you know, how famous am I? How many followers do I have? Something funny that I feel like is relevant that my Saturn in Capricorn mother said to me once, and this is like a long time ago, is she like couldn't believe like on my videos how I would get like negative comments, and how, you know, sometimes people would do the thumbs down or the dislike. And she literally said to me, she said, I could never have a dislike on one of my videos. Like I just could not emotionally handle that someone disliked my video like that. And therefore, meaning that she would never post a video on YouTube. Like, not that this was her thing anyways, but she just like could not handle the thought of someone disliking her video. And she's like, I don't know how you do it. That just must be so difficult. And she's also a very sensitive double Pisces, so that could also come into play there. But I really feel like that, though, is a manifestation of that Saturn in Capricorn, where, you know, it's not someone disliking you right to your face, but the idea of someone putting a dislike on your video being an emotionally crushing experience. That, to me, I feel like was a manifestation of that Saturn placement and the Saturn placement, because they can be so hard on themselves in terms of, yeah, the way that they are publicly seen. So much so that they never start, because that would just be too painful. And there's just so much to prove. Like, these people, more than any people, like, out of any of the other Saturn placements, I feel like they really feel like they have something to prove, okay? And now, you know, I've said a lot of negative things, but now I want to start talking about the positive, because I do truly think this is the best placement, other than maybe Saturn's exaltation in Libra, right? So we've got Saturn in rulership here in Capricorn. So I do think it's the best placement, even though maybe I've been harsh on you guys so far. So what it really comes down to is when they, you know, are coming from a place of service, they are having some true self-worth, they really can be dedicated to their mission, whatever it is. They can be some of the most hardworking people on the planet. And because life has been so hard for them, and they've had to go through so many challenges, they've maybe had to have so many ego-crushing experiences, right? Because everything, too, they take so personally, and it's so hard on them. So they've had to go through so much. They become some of the best leaders, some of the most humble people, actually, which you wouldn't think of a Capricorn placement being humble, but it's because when this placement is truly functioning at its highest, and they've learned the lessons required, they've cleared the karma, they understand what it's like to be on the low end of life and, going through all the hard challenges of life and having to, like Saturn and Capricorn energy, it's like started from the bottom, now we're here, like they really have had to climb up the mountain, and it's been so difficult, and it's so the drudgery of life and the joylessness and the dedication that they have put into their mission and their work, whatever it is. Because of how hard it's been, they do end up having some humility and being the best leaders and showing kindness to other people and helping them stay dedicated, because like these people, they just do not give up, right? There's nothing that can really keep them down. And I think with this placement, the success that they're seeking can come later in life, which is common for Capricorn energy to experience like the big achievements later on, and then like the earlier part of life is just the climb, right? So yeah, very, very serious energy, very karmic energy. Very much this person is born with a sense that they have this big mission, and it's something in the public eye, like whether they just want to be famous or something, or they want to be seen in a certain way, and they spend their life being obsessed with this. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a career, although actually that, would work very well for this energy, being the career-focused business person just on their way up, right? And always climbing, and, probably a lot of entrepreneurs in this day and age online, we probably have this energy out there quite a bit. So I think they're born in about, my mom's born in 1960, and then I think this placement, they went back into Capricorn in 1988 to about 1991-ish. Pretty sure those are the dates. So yeah, really though, I do think if you have this placement, you should study the energy of Saturn. You should really realize that it's a big part of you, because whenever we see a planet in its own sign, I do feel that it's like doubly manifested. And in Isabel Hickey's book, she also says it can show the worst or the best of the sign, right? So really study the traits of Capricorn. And I think with this placement too, making sure that you're focused on work that is truly meaningful to you, and making sure that you dedicate your life to what is truly meaningful to you, because there's so much dedication, there's so much perseverance, that you want to make sure that it's really making you happy too. Otherwise, this placement can be quite miserable and serious, and focused on the wrong things, focused too much on the outside looking in, and not, okay, how does this make me feel from within? Does this make me happy? Is this making me happy? Right? And not about how it appears to others and to society at large. The other thing with this placement is I feel that the parental role is very much a big part of their image and their life, and there might need to be some healing around the inner child and either the father figure or the mother figure, whoever was the dominant person. I think with this one too, we can see that the father was those traditional masculine qualities of maybe he was always at work, or maybe he was absent, or maybe he died, and then the mother was overly dominant to take his place, or there's just something around the father or the dominant parent where the person idolizes them maybe, or there's some difficulties, maybe a difficult relationship, or maybe the person just wasn't around a lot. So there's a need to really ground in that inner father energy from God, that masculine energy from God, and not outsource it like to your own actual father who maybe didn't live up to your expectations of the true source life. Like, what I truly believe, that there's a mother and father God, and we can align with these energies with within our own being. It's not a religious thing. So for me, for this placement, I feel that they need to ground in the inner father and know that the inner father loves them unconditionally, not based on what they achieve or how they look or appear in society. So yeah, and then once that has taken place, these people are capable of literally anything, so much success. So many works of art, because, you know, if you really think about it, in order to create art or to create anything, you need to have that Capricorn quality of persistence and perseverance, right? And so with this placement, they really have that, and nothing can take them off track. They are so motivated, they're so powerful, and yeah, once they really get going, nothing can stop them. And so it's an amazing placement. It's definitely not without difficulties. Like I said, the traditional Saturn difficulties are very strong here. And yeah, there could be difficulty with a parent too, needing to take care of a parent or an absent parent. There's something going on with the parental influence here and the childhood influence. The childhood could have been extremely difficult, and then so there's a need to overcompensate by being this person in society, when once they heal that inner child, they could actually just do their great work in society for the joy of it, rather than the needing to prove that they are a valuable person, because that father energy maybe did not give them that as much as they required. So yeah, I also think that this placement could be very old souls as well, and that it's a karmic placement, but it doesn't mean that it's a negative karmic placement. I feel that it can actually show positive karma, that they've really mastered the lessons of Saturn and they get to reap the rewards in this lifetime, but not without going through some difficulties and challenges first. And then the house placement is going to be really important, because it's going to show where it's going to manifest. So yeah, a little bit longer video than I usually do, but yeah, I do know some people very closely with this placement, and it's one that I've studied a lot, and I've like observed them a lot and observed the manifestations of a lot. So yeah, that's my take on Saturn and Capricorn, and I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts below, and I do offer one-on-one sessions as well, and I'll put my links below. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.